This video will show you how to replace the rear brake inner flex hose on a GMC Sierra 2500. This will be accessed from under the rear of your vehicle. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing we have to do is safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Once you've completed that, we're going to remove our center cover. Use a 22mm to loosen each one of the lugs. After that, we'll remove all 8 of our 22mm lug nuts as well. With the wheel out of the way, we have a clear view of our rear brakes and our rear brake flex hose. The first thing we like to do is make sure we have hand and eye protection and of course a collection receptacle underneath this area. We're making our way to the bleeder screw on the caliper. Go ahead and remove your bleeder screw cover and use a 10mm to open up the bleeder screw. Now, once you do have that opened up, the next thing we have to do is make our way into the passenger compartment. You're going to press the brake pedal all the way down to the floor and hold it there with something such as a pry bar. Fluid will make its way out of this area. Once we've done that, we can gently close our bleeder screw. Now that we've completed that, let's go ahead and close our bleeder screw. We don't need to close it too tight. We will be reopening it. We can pause here. We're going to make our way safely under the rear of the vehicle to our inside flex hose. Now, when you're underneath the center of the vehicle, you're going to find that you have 2 center rear brake flex hoses. We'll make sure that we're removing the proper one. Down in this area, we're going to start dislodging our rear brake line from the bottom of the rear brake center flex hose. So for this, I'm using a 13mm flare end wrench. Call it a line wrench if you want. We're turning this counterclockwise, but we need to pay attention to our brake line. When we turn this, if it's rusted or rotted, you may end up damaging the brake line. If that's the case, you're going to have to replace it. Use some penetrant as necessary. Make sure there's a collection receptacle under this area. At this point, the line should be broken free from our flex hose. We'll just give this a wiggle. A quick inspection of our brake line and fitting to confirm it's not rotted, weak, or damaged in any way. Now you're going to find that you have a mounting clip holding our flex hose to the bracket. We can see the ear of it. Go ahead and take hold of that ear with some pliers if necessary and pull it out of place. We can dislodge the flex hose from the bracket after that. A thorough inspection of that locking clip, we will be reusing it. If it looks like it's rotted and weak, you need to replace it. Okay, that's broken free. Just a quick inspection of that. We are replacing it, but now we can follow the flex hose up to its next mounting point. Now we can see where that flex hose connects into along the back side of the bracket here. We have our steel brake line leading to the front of the vehicle. We're going to be using our 13mm for this fitting as well. And once again, just be extremely careful not to damage your brake line. Now, typically you will not be able to slide this brake line out of position because it's attached to the frame. Let's continue on removing the locking clip, holding this in position. We can see it right up along the top here. Just like along the bottom, grab a hold of the ears with your pliers and pull it out of place. We'll clean this up, give it a thorough inspection, of course, and set it aside. Just like the other one, we're going to be reusing it. Just going to use my hammer. We'll tap on this. Give it a wiggle, slide it out of place. There it is, friend. Prior to installation of any brand new part, of course we need to make sure we clean and inspect our mounting area. We want to make sure it's not rotted, weak, or damaged. I'm just going to use a wire brush for this. We'll press the brake line out of the way. Let's look at our brake line and brake line fitting as well. Confirming it's not rotted, weak, or damaged, the fitting should also move like this. This looks pretty good. Let's make our way down towards the differential bracket next. All the way down at the bottom bracket here, same process. We're just going to use our wire brush. We just want to make sure nothing's rotted, weak, or damaged. A little bit of rust is okay. That feels good. Now it's time to install our brand new rear brake inner flex hose. Now, if you were looking at the ends of the flex hose, you're going to find that they do look similar, but they are actually different. You have to look closely. You're going to find that one end of the flex hose has two small locating tabs. One of them has a larger diameter than the other. And on the other end of the flex hose, you're going to find that it has an area that has a whole bunch of corners, but then there's a smooth, rounded edge as well. When we go to put this in position, we're going to have the side that has the two locating tabs up along the upper bracket. Let's start there. Now, as I bring this into position, we're going to start bringing it through the bracket. We'll twist it as necessary to align our locating tabs. Now, I can see that I am aligned here, but as we already noted, you cannot move the brake line around too much, so it's always a good idea to make sure that you pull out on the flex hose, align that brake line, and start that in by hand. With the brake line started in by hand, now we can align that brake hose with the bracket. Once it is properly aligned and flush, we'll continue on with our locking clip. We've already cleaned it. Let's go ahead and rest it in position and tap it in. You can use a small hammer if necessary. I got my clip. Double check to make sure it looks as though it's completely seated. We're going to take hold of the flex hose. We'll give it a wiggle. It should not slide out of place in the bracket. After confirming it is secured the way it needs to be, tighten your brake line fitting. Once you have that bottomed out with an open end wrench, it's always a good idea to use a line wrench just to confirm it's properly secure here. So we have it bottomed out. We're just going to take it a little bit further. We'll double check to make sure there is no movement from our brake line leading into the flex hose. You don't want to have a brake fluid leak here. Now let's continue on to the rest of the brake hose. Now as we bring our flex hose down to the lower bracket, we can see that we have our sharp corners and our rounded corner up along the top corner here. So with that said, I'm going to take this, we'll start getting it in position, we'll twist it as necessary, and then of course we have our locking clip to start installing. We like to start in our brake line first. Let's just bring this over. Let's get this in position. We can move the brake line around as necessary. Just double check to make sure that is started in. Now we will be tightening this, but first let's make sure that we secure our brake hose in place. We can twist this as necessary to make sure it's aligned, and of course we have our locking clip as well. I can see my groove where the locking clip needs to go. There's our clip. It's cleaned, thoroughly inspected, usable. Let's install it. We'll take hold of that flex hose, make sure it does not move around in the bracket, and tighten our brake line fitting. Let's hold that out of the way. Okay, that one's bottomed out. Just a tiny bit further here with our line wrench. We'll double check to make sure that's secured as well. Now, one last quick inspection while we're underneath the vehicle here. After you've confirmed everything's seated properly, let's go ahead and make our way back out towards that wheel well. Now it's time to gravity bleed our braking system. To do this, we need to remove pressure from on our brake pedal, and then we're making our way back out to the caliper bleeder screw. Now that I've removed pressure from the brake pedal, we're at our bleeder screw. We're going to open this up. We have our collection receptacle under here. When we open this, typically you're going to find fluid makes its way out, but you're going to also find small air bubbles. We need to let this gravity bleed until you see only a steady trickle of fluid making its way out with no air bubbles. Now I definitely have fluid making its way out, but we can see a lot of air bubbles. Let's continue on this process until we only see clean fluid making its way out. At this point, I don't see any more air bubbles making its way out. We can close our bleeder screw. Wipe down our mess here. Continuing on, the next thing you want to do is make your way into the passenger compartment. You want to pump up the brake pedal and confirm it feels firm. If it feels like it's soft or sinks down towards the floor, you might have air trapped in the system. If that's the case, you're going to want to do a manual brake bleed. If it does feel good, go ahead and clean up any mess in this area and reinstall your bleeder screw cover. Let's reinstall our wheel. Once you have the wheel in place, we'll start on all 8 of our 22mm lug nuts. We'll lightly bottom them out. After that, we can get the wheel back on the ground and torque each of these to 140 foot-pounds. I have the wheel safely on the ground. Let's go ahead and torque each one of our lug nuts to 140 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. Torqued. If you have a center cover, install that now. Double check to make sure that's secured in place. Okay friend, let's get started on bleeding the brakes. We want to start under the hood at the master cylinder. Prior to opening it, let's make sure we use a clean rag, and we're going to clean along the top of the master cylinder and your master cylinder cap. We want to prevent any miscellaneous debris making its way into the braking system. After you've cleaned the area, take hold of the cap, turn it counterclockwise, and remove it. You can tell exactly what type of fluid to use, .3 as I mentioned. Of course, we're going to inspect our seal. You want to make sure it's not swollen or damaged in any way. This does look good, so I'm going to temporarily set it aside. Continuing on, we want to remove as much fluid from inside of the master cylinder as possible so we can confirm that we have only clean fluid in here for the rest of the bleeding procedure. Now I've removed as much fluid as possible from the master cylinder. We're topping it off with our clean .3 brake fluid. If you do happen to spill any brake fluid on any painted surface, you need to make sure you rinse it down with some clean water. We're just bringing this up towards our maximum line here. Temporarily reinstall the cover so no miscellaneous debris makes its way in while we continue on our brake bleed process. Now to bleed the brakes, we're going to be starting at the passenger side rear caliper. Once we've completed bleeding that caliper, you're going over to the driver's side rear caliper and you're going to repeat this exact same process. After that, you're back at the master cylinder. You need to top it off because typically the fluid will go down. After you've topped it off, go to the passenger side front, you're going to bleed that caliper, and then you're ending at the driver's side front caliper. After you've completed bleeding all brakes and cleaned any mess, you're going to reinstall your wheels, and then you're making your way back up to the master cylinder to top off your master cylinder one last time with that clean .3 brake fluid. As you can tell, I'm at the passenger side rear. We're going to start bleeding the brakes, and this is going to be easiest if you have the second person inside of the vehicle. They're going to pump up the brake pedal for us approximately 3 to 5 times. They're going to hold that brake pedal, let me know, and I'm going to open up my bleeder screw. When this happens, we're waiting to see only a steady trickle of fluid making its way out with no air bubble, and of course we want to make sure it's clean brake fluid as well. We have a collection receptacle under here, and of course hand and eye protection at all times. Go ahead and pump the brakes, please. Got our 10mm wrench. Let's do this slow here. We want to try to make sure all the fluid goes into our collection receptacle, and of course we are watching for air bubbles making its way out of the system. Go ahead and pump, please. Now, once you feel as though you've removed all air from on this side braking system and we only have clean brake fluid making its way out, we're going to clean any mess. And as I mentioned before, make your way over to the driver's side rear caliper. Repeat this exact same process. After you've cleaned up the mess on that side, you're going to want to make sure you stop at that master cylinder to top it off. Make sure that's dry and clean so we can double check for leaks in the end. I finished the driver's side rear, so I'm at the master cylinder. We can remove the cap, top it off with our clean .3. That looks good for now. Let's make our way to the passenger side front caliper next. At the passenger side front caliper, if you have a bleeder screw cover, go ahead and remove that, of course. We're still going to be using our 10mm for each front caliper. We have our collection receptacle under here. Go ahead and pump up the brake pedal, please. Go ahead and pump. That looks good. You can release the brake pedal, thank you. Now obviously you want to bleed the brake as many times as you need to remove as much air as possible, and we only have clean brake fluid making its way out, so I'm going to go ahead and clean my mess on this caliper. We'll reinstall the bleeder screw cover since I did remove one. After that, I'm going over to the driver's side front. I'm going to repeat this exact same process. You're going to make your way up to the master cylinder afterward. After bleeding all brakes, we're at the master cylinder. Let's go ahead and top it off one last time. We can see where our maximum line is. This is where we need to be. Reinstall your master cylinder cover. Clean any mess in this area. Okay, friend, we finished bleeding our brakes. You want to double check for leaks and reinstall all 4 of your wheels. The torque for your lug nuts will be 140 foot-pounds. Okay, friend, we finished our installation. We've already bled the brakes and checked for leaks. The next thing you need to do is take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.